Caroline Dowd-Higgins. Thank you for listening to Your Working Life, my podcast series featuring thought leaders in the career and personal growth arena. You spend a significant portion of your life at work, so my goal is to provide you with tools, inspiration, and resources so you can enjoy your career and love your life. And I am delighted to welcome my very special guest to the show, Eliot Wagonheim. Eliot, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Caroline. So nice of you to have me.
Oh, I'm looking forward to a fantastic conversation and learning more about your book and the amazing services that you offer in the world. But let me tell the listening audience, Eliot is the founder of Wagonheim Law, an entrepreneurial law firm based in Maryland. He's been selected as a Maryland super lawyer, as well as having been named one of the Smart CEO magazine's Legal Elite as a go-to business lawyer, as well as being a 2016 Center of Influence Award winner. And he's a contributor to one of my favorite, Huffington Post, and his blog has been published both regionally and nationally. And today we're going to talk a lot about Eliot's book, Fire, Aim, Ready, which is an ebook series designed to teach business people and entrepreneurs how to succeed, minimize risk, crush the competition, and sleep better at night. It's all about sleeping better at night, isn't it, Eliot?
Absolutely.
So let's start from the beginning. As a lawyer, what are the biggest impediments to an entrepreneur achieving his or her vision that you see?
I think it's the doubt. I wish I could be more technical and maybe lawyer-like and give you a Latin answer, but I think it's the doubt. I think a lot of people might think, well, it's wonderful that she's doing this, but gee, I can't do that. Or hey, he's really killing it, but maybe I don't have those skills. And I think that it's that questioning of do I have a place here? Do I have something to say? Do I have something worthwhile to contribute? And then, of course, in the real world, you've got people who, they've got mortgages and they've got car payments and they've got kids and food to put on the table, and they're getting a W-2 salary, and it's not what they want to do. It's not what they think their destiny is, but there's something very, very scary about not having that paycheck.
I agree. I see that so much in my career and executive coaching practice, Eliot. And let me ask you, I see a lot of what I call hybrid entrepreneurs who perhaps have the security of a day job with that steady income and insurance package, but they're flexing those entrepreneurial muscles with that side hustle that has the potential to become the full-time gig. Are you seeing that as well?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of that, and that's what's so exciting about today. I've heard it said that we're living in what's known as a gig economy.
Yep.
In other words, you don't have to start your graphic design firm to, before you start your side hustle of designing this logo over here or doing that campaign over there. You can kind of test the waters because it's like Uber. You can give your services when it's convenient for you. The only thing that I would definitely caution people about doing, because I think it's a wonderful thing to do, by the way. I think it's a terrific thing because you can test your appeal in the market, you can refine your appeal, you can find your best customers. All of that's terrific. The caution that I would give is that you don't want to create something wonderful only to have your daytime employer claim that as his or her property.
Good point. Yeah.
So you have to make sure that you're not inadvertently giving your best intellectual property away.
Spoken like a true lawyer. Wonderful,
yes.
Eliot. Very important, very important. So let's talk more about your approach. What is the Fire, Aim, Ready approach to business, and how is this different? Because obviously it does turn that traditional phrase on its head a bit.
Well, it's different because it starts with the end in mind. And let me give you two examples,
okay,
and I think they'll come into clearer focus. The first one is when signing a contract. I have clients call me all the time and say, hey, I have this contract, can you look it over and tell me whether it's okay to sign? And I'll ask them two questions. The first one is, if you signed this contract exactly as it reads, why would you call me in 6 months asking me to help you get the heck out of this contract.
Mm.
What would be the nightmare scenarios for you? I mean, in addition to, well, I haven't been paid. And so then they tell me a story. They'll say, well, geez, if the other side didn't give me the materials, or the other side made this change in the scope of work, or the other side asked me to move the project to Topeka, or the other side, whatever it happens to be. And then I can say, okay, now that we've written that end, we've seen the end, let's go back to the beginning and create the contract to avoid those horrible situations. And the second question I'll ask is a variation of the first. Why in 6 months after signing this contract would you call me and say, hey, you know what? Signing this contract was the best thing that I did in my professional life in the past 3 years. What would make that a terrific contract? What would really knock it out of the park for you? And so they'll say, well, if this happened or if that happened. And I'll ask, well, have you conveyed that to the other side? Do they know what would be your game changers? And so I always encourage my clients, and that's an example from contract. I can give you another one from HR if you want, but to picture the end first, fire first. And once you fire, once you see that shot and how it would materialize in your mind, then you can go back and aim when it counts. And then you're ready.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. Thank you so much. What a great illustration. You know, Eliot, it reminds me as a fellow entrepreneur how important that legal expertise is in the beginning. You know, you need a professional, you need an expert to help you navigate those legal issues, unless that is within your jurisdiction, your skill set and your expertise and perhaps your pedigree. But I see so many new businesses trying to go out there and do it alone, and they really need to rally the resources of the experts. Can you talk to the aspiring entrepreneur who doesn't know where to begin and how a lawyer like you might help them navigate the beginning stages?
Sure. There are a couple of key points that I would mention, none of which are heartily endorsed by my fellow lawyers, by the way, because my first key point is don't get out your checkbook and pay a lawyer right away. Because a lot of times you have these entrepreneurs that have a limited amount of funds. And yes, they do need to understand from a legal perspective how to proceed. But a lot of times if they go to a lawyer and they say, we want to set up a company, and they don't have any customers, and they don't have any product out there, and they haven't gone out into the world to see if it can work, you can spend $2,000, $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 with the lawyer, and that lawyer can give you a perfect set of corporate documents, stockholders agreements, and buy-sell agreements, and employment agreements, and you haven't earned a dollar. And that's fine if you're Bill Gates, and that's fine if you're Elon Musk. But if you're like most entrepreneurs with limited finances, then you can hold off on writing that check first. What I would recommend, instead of spending thousands of dollars on a lawyer right off the bat, is go for coffee.
Yeah.
I get called all the time by entrepreneurs. I have this business idea. Can you talk to me? Can you spare a few minutes? I love talking to entrepreneurs. We'll go out to coffee. We'll talk about it. Sometimes they're not ready for me or somebody who does what I do. Sometimes they really do need just a little bit. Sometimes they need a lot. But make use of your network. Find out who these great people are, because a lot of times, whether they're lawyers, accountants, coaches, etc., they'll spend some time and talk to you to see if you're a good fit, how they can help you, and you can save yourself a lot of money that way.
Great advice, Eliot. And let me know if you want to take this a step further, because I know you really believe in empowering business owners to make better decisions. So what else do you want to share on that point?
Well, I would share that you have to understand what it is you have to lose first. You know, if you're going out into the world and you're trying to get people to buy a product that's $12.98, if it doesn't work and the biggest loss to your customer is $12.98, then you probably don't need right off the bat a corporation to protect your house and your car and all that stuff, because you're not going to lose it. But if you're asking people to put at risk $10,000, $100,000 by trusting you to build their garage or go out and set up their entire online presence, well, then you might want to protect your assets and have a very simple corporate structure. But the big thing that I would ask you to do, forgetting about the corporate structure, forgetting about the legal part of it, is to spend some real time figuring out who your ideal customer is.
Right.
Because unless you solve a problem that your ideal customer has, it doesn't matter whether your employment agreements are rock solid. You've got to figure out what you are called to do, who you are called to serve. And then everything you do, from your contracts to your web presence to what you tell people on LinkedIn, should be like a dog whistle, where 99.9% of the carbon-based life forms out there are oblivious to the fact that it was blown. But that 0.1% that's your ideal customers, they are sitting up and their ears are on point.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I can just, envision that dog whistle concept. So true. So, Eliot, I'm sure you've seen both, but what separates the success stories from the crash and burns?
I think focus. I think that the success stories are those that know exactly what they're good at and what they're called upon to do. The crash and burns are those that, and I'm not knocking this because I know what the pressures are, but are so focused on taking anything that comes in the door because they're worried about the lights staying on, they're worried about their payroll, etc., that they don't become really good at something. They don't develop their reputation. They're not out there in the marketplace as anything different. They're just Caroline. They're fine.
Mm-hmm.
They're okay. Just like if you went to a restaurant and maybe you went out to breakfast and it was a typical diner, and you left that breakfast and the person at the front desk said, "Well, how was your experience today?" Chances are you'd be like, "Well, it was fine. You got coffee and you got whatever you wanted." But too many entrepreneurs worry so much about when's the right time for me to do this, but they don't worry about what am I going to do tomorrow that my ideal customer is going to say is outstanding.
Right. Oh, love it. Love to hear the energy in your voice. I love the tagline of your book, right? The series is designed to teach business people and entrepreneurs how to succeed, minimize risk, crush the competition, and sleep better at night. So help us understand who needs to read this ebook series. Who is your target audience?
My target audience are entrepreneurs, seasoned business owners, generally in businesses that have fewer than 50 employees or so. It talks about aligning your core values, aligning what you want to accomplish and can contribute in the world with a practical approach to how you reflect that in dealing with people, in hiring your next rock star, in writing your contracts, in entering into your partnerships, in presenting yourself to the world, by looking at things from the firing ready approach, with the end in mind. So it's a really diverse audience, but they're all focused on business. It's not generally for a middle management guy at General Motors. Although, it's fine if they read it. But it's somebody that really has the ability and the desire to kind of take hold of their business identity and shape the way they want it to be.
Excellent. I appreciate that specificity. Let's take that a step further. So we've got millions of entrepreneurs listening, and they're scaling and growing their business, and many of them are looking to hire that new rock star member of their team. But they haven't been in that hiring role because they're a relatively new entrepreneur. So what's the best way for someone to find that new talent? And likewise, for the person that's sitting out there saying, I want to be that talent, how do I choose the right company?
Well, I have two answers, one from the back end, one from the front end. If you figure out what the script is, let's imagine that you're a business owner and you're eavesdropping on a conversation between one of your employees and this person that you know would be a rock star, but she hasn't quite signed on with your company yet.
Okay.
And the rock star says to your existing employee, "Why should I work there?"
Mm.
Okay, what do you want that person to say? What if you could put words in that person's mouth, what would it say? Chances are you'd want them to give the sales pitch that says, "Because this company will help you get where you want to go. We are keyed in on what your goals are. You're allowed independence. You're allowed to learn to develop your expertise. You're allowed to do X, Y, and Z. We have whatever it is." So the more you can narrow down on what that script should be by figuring out what would appeal to that rock star, then you have an opportunity to go back and build your company so that that script is not only possible, but it's inevitable. So to give you a practical idea, if I want to hire, in my law firm, if I want to hire a really, really good young attorney, they want to know if I'm on social media. They want to know if I'm online. They want to know if I use my dusty law books for inspiration or whether I understand how to approach the market now. I can't have my next rock star get his or her resume over to me using a fax machine.
Right.
I just can't. So you've got to figure out, what do these people want to hear? What would really get your rock star excited about working with you? And then you go and make it come true. And I was trained as a trial lawyer. And the first thing that I learned was, write your closing argument first. It's everything you want to be able to tell the jury. And the trick is, you can't tell the jury any of those facts in a closing argument unless you actually introduce them into evidence. So if you write your closing argument first and you see all of the things that you wish you could tell the jury, now you go back and build the case to make sure that you put every single one of those things in evidence so you can give your perfect closing argument. That's what you have to do. So I said there were two, so I'll make this quick. But the second thing that I would say to an entrepreneur, and this really helps in terms of solidifying the employment relationship, is that you have to fire people before you hire them. Mm. And what that means is this. When you hire somebody as an entrepreneur, or when you accept a job as somebody who's going to a new position, it's fun. I mean, you're looking forward to a honeymoon period. It's a new adventure. It's a new chapter. If you're hiring, you have a need that's going to be filled. If you're getting a job, you're embarking on something you find exciting. It's cool. But if you're firing somebody, or if you're quitting, if I knew that I was firing somebody on Wednesday, then on Tuesday my stomach would be in knots, because I know that's going to be an unpleasant conversation. Same with I'm quitting. If I'm a valued employee and I'm quitting, it's going to be an unpleasant conversation, because the person on the other end is going to be saying, "Why? I thought it was going well, Caroline. I don't understand why."
Right.
So you got to have your ducks in a row. You've got to say, because you lost the McCormick account and your customer satisfaction rating is below 92% and you're over budget and you're behind schedule. Or you've got to say, because you as my employer haven't followed through on this initiative or that initiative, or I haven't had a chance to develop this skill or that skill, or you made this promise to me and you didn't follow through. Now, what if you had that conversation before you extended hands across the table, shook, and welcomed everybody on board? What if you, as a rock star employee, looked across the table and said, "Just so we're clear, here's why I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit if you don't follow through on this, if you don't follow through on that, if I don't learn this new skill, if I don't have these new opportunities." Or as the employer, you say, "Hey, here's why I'm going to fire you. I'm going to fire you if you lose the McCormick account. I'm going to fire you if your CUSAT rating goes below 92%. I'm going to fire you if you're over budget. I'm going to fire you if you're behind schedule." Now, you don't have to say it that way, and it's not as warm and fuzzy a conversation. But nobody leaves that discussion unclear as to the expectations.
There are no surprises. Exactly.
There are no surprises.
Oh, such a simple, beautiful, and effective strategy. Eliot, what a joy to have you on the show. What a pleasure learning about your ebook series, Fire, Aim, Ready Management. Tell us how we can buy the book and connect with you after the show.
Right now, Fire Aim Ready Management is the first one. It's on Amazon. It's the first one that's up on Amazon. You can just go to Amazon and enter Wagonheim, Wagonheim, or Fire Aim Ready, and it'll come right up. Or you can just go to farsightedbusiness.com, and you'll be taken right to a link there. You can email me. You can get a hold of me. I always respond to emails. I always respond to inquiries. And I'd love to hear feedback, and I just love working with entrepreneurs.
Eliot, thank you so much. I'm so grateful that you were willing to share your wisdom and expertise with our global audience today. I wish you continued success, and I hope our paths cross again soon.
Thank you, Caroline. I absolutely enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me on.
Be well. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in to Your Working Life, where my goal is to help you design your career destiny so it doesn't happen by default. Career and life satisfaction is possible, and it's time to embrace what you love doing so you can do more of it. My show is now available on iTunes, YouTube, Podbean, and Stitcher. I hope you will subscribe so you get fresh shows each week, and leave a comment because I always appreciate hearing from my listeners. I'm Caroline Dowd-Higgins. Take good care.